So as we start with the building, I start with the island first because, well, you need somewhere to place the building. Can't really place it on top of water, especially with a lot of water with kelp. Likes to destroy your sand. Problem I didn't realize until I started, which, kelp. Worst block in the game. Now, after several glitches later, because of a low render distance, because of my crappy laptop this was recorded on. Oh man. You leave a like for my pain, please. So this island is way too small for what I needed. At first I thought this easily would have fit, but I did not realize how big this temple will be, because it ended up being really big. So I start, hey, maybe I should put a platform and see how big I'm going to make this thing. So I start a little terrain, but then I start with the pillars to mark out how big it is. I realize after just 4 pillars this is way too small, so I decided I'll just finish out how big this thing's going to be first before I start messing around with the terrain, and that platform was way too small. So I needed to expand it a lot. And so, with that, I will start with the rest of the shape of the island, so I can terrain, make it not look like a flat cube. So I start placing spheres around. Then I realize, wait a minute, should probably do the smaller towers that I plan on doing on the sides of the building. So let me mark those out first and make a platform just to see how much larger I need to make the island. Turns out I needed to make it a little bit larger. So I fix that up and make it fit into some terrain. And as we move back to the other side to finish up the outline, I would need to destroy this small island over here. Leave a rip in the comments for those trees that will soon be destroyed. So I mess around with the shape some more, put that outline up further into the air so I can fit this foundation. I blend it into the terrain a little more so it looks a little better. And do the rest of the corners, do it on the smaller towers as well. Then I realized, wait, I didn't outline it correctly, so I had to fix that real quick. And we start on the tower. What am I talking about? Towers. These are mountains. We start on the first mountain. And it's looking pretty big, you'd think. Nope. That is rather small, because that even barely gets over the outline. The temple will have 3 more layers. You're starting to see the problem here? Yeah. I'll eventually fix that. But for now, I'll make a smaller mountain alongside the right side. Now we move on to the back. Finish up the rest of the mountains. Destroy another island in the meantime. Guess you could call me the island destroyer after this. Well, it's all to create one big island, so is it really destroying an island? Or just merging it into a larger island? Anyway, we increase the size of some of the mountains and mess around with some terrain. Finish up the right corner mountain, which I wanted to be really big, so I left a lot of room for that. But it could have left more room for that. But we'll block off this little area and start working on a little pond, or at least the terrain of a pond. That's where a waterfall is going to flow. But then but after a few days of looking at this terrain, realize I don't really like the shape of the edges, so I go back and rework the terrain, and there goes that small island in place for a mountain. Yeah, I like my mountains here. Have y'all ever been to the mountains? In anywhere in your countries? It's great, in my opinion. So we make a very large mountain over here and move on to the other side. I learned my lesson and increase the base a little bit so I can make a much larger mountain. And because of my erratic building ways, I decided to go to the other side for a little bit for some reason. Because that's how I do sometimes. So we finish up this area, lower some parts so we can leave some room for some trees. And I wanted to make one more mountain in the back, because from the front, you see that little area? Yeah, it's a big empty spot. Just kept bothering me. So, unfortunately, this footage corrupted at some point. Probably because of, again, my really bad laptop. So, as we make this invisible mountain, if you made it this far into the video, comment invisible mountain or something. Make some memes out of it. Alright. So we finish that mountain and start working on some river paths from that little pond through the foundation. But of course we must do the back a little bit first, because why not? I can't keep my attention in one spot for long. So we start with a little dock, but I decided to work on some stairs for a little bit. Dock stairs. Because again, I can't focus on one spot. Why would I? But we finally finish up the dock as I play around with some designs. Start with spruce and dark oak, then change it to match the rest of the build with orange, acacia, and terracotta. But after I stop working on the mountain for a bit, I decide to go AFK for a bit. Because why would I pause the recording? Okay, we're finally back. And we work on changing the sand to stone, because I was tired of looking at sand. Ooh, giant ball of sand? You think that's great for a bad laptop? Even for a good computer, this was hard to render.
Please send help. Please.
Yeah, that was painful. Painful 24 hours there. But we finish up throwing some sand over the stone to replace as grass later. Now, if there's a better way to do this, please let me know, because again, I am fairly new to World Edit. But we change it to grass anyway at the sound barrier. And I decide to make a beach, but changed my mind after it didn't really look great. But of course, why would this be a perfect replay? Let's have the camera go into the mountain, because why not? Alright, so we break the sound barrier yet again, bone mealing the mountains with grass and white flowers. I decide to make a path that some footage is missing, because, yeah, I'm not sure where it went. I thought I recorded it, but I guess not. But we work on this little area for the river through the foundation. I don't know what to call it. Please let me know what to call it. We measure out the pillars because I realized there was something wrong when working underneath there, and, well, turns out I was correct. The pillars weren't positioned correctly, so I changed some of those pillar areas and finished working on this bottom area. Carve out a little spot for the river and copy paste to the other side. So as I measure a little more to make sure it's correct, I changed some pillar spots, and well, some missing footage later, I created this small building on the foundation where the water will flow from. Pretty neat design. And because I thought spruce might have looked good, I changed the orange terracotta to spruce everywhere. But yeah, I would end up changing that soon after. Now to match this, I would change the torii gates to spruce. Just make sure it matches. But after some detailing later, I realized that torii gates don't exactly look great, so I changed them back. And work on the roof for a little bit before changing the smaller buildings to orange terracotta. Work on the roof some more. Fail at world edit. And just decide to do it by hand, because if you don't know how to use something, just do what you know. Now I work on the entrance a little bit. Throw some lanterns on there. And working on some detailing on the walls. Now I played around with some designs because I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to do it. I had an idea, but I didn't know exactly how to execute it. So I played around with some designs, finally learned how to copy paste to the other side, and move on to the second floor, where I would insert some windows. Now I'll change some designs around just to make it look a little better. Now at first I had the fences as the windows pushed one block back, but decided to move it forward because it looked weird from the inside.
Translation: beef. It's what's for dinner.
Now this of course would not be the final design, as I'd play around with it some more because yeah, why not? And played around with some lighting, but I decided to make it darker for a bit. Work on some of these lanterns that will hang from the roofs, copy paste onto the back, and finish up outlining the bottoms of the roofs. I would try copy pasting that roof to the other side and do it successfully this time. As we like to view my builds from inside a mountain, we copy paste that design to the other side to make it symmetrical, and finally decide to work on the roof. However, I made it a little tall at first. I realized this, so I decided I'll outline the second layer before finishing the roof, so I make sure to get it at the right size, which I make this little design for the roof to fit into the second floor outline. Now as I put this prismarine on one half, I'm thinking maybe I can copy paste to the other side. Realize I don't know what I'm doing, so I'll just do it by hand. And then that went for a lot of places during this build. Just not knowing how to use world edit, then just giving up and doing it by hand. Simple solution for a new Bedrock player. Yep. Now I knew how to use structure blocks on Bedrock, but not on Java, and failed to do so on Java. So went ahead, did it by hand, and designed the face, copy paste onto the other side, which is missing for now because again, corrupted replay files. Now right here, what I'm thinking is putting a big opening for a giant lantern that's going to hang from the middle of the building. Now, to make sure the roof doesn't get in the way, I decide I will curve the roof down a little bit. Now, again, this would have been very helpful if I knew how to use World Edit, because this was a painful hour just trying to get that symmetrical. Finally use this method to make sure it is, and solve the problem. So I finish up with this side, and I'll copy paste to the back side. Now we finally start moving to something productive, and we work on the corners of the roofs for a little bit, connect them, and repeat this process everywhere else for the roof. Now, after some fidgeting with some designs, I would finally work on the roof, but missing footage yet again. Don't know where it went. Be great if I knew where, but whatever. Randomly appearing roof is just randomly appearing roof. So I repeat the process from the last layer. Just do it by hand without attempting to use World Edit, really. At this point, I only semi knew how to use it. I didn't realize the problem why I couldn't copy paste properly was because I wasn't copying properly. But I figure it out here, paste onto the other side, and well, there's not going to be an opening here, so decide to do a normal roof, but to make sure there's something there and not just empty space, I decide to do little roof windows. Do a small design and attempt to copy paste to the other side. And then I'll work on a quick design for the wall behind it and copy paste to the other side. Lots of copy and pasting. And work on the side bits. And work on the third layer roof for a little bit. Little court stairs that will go under it. Now, after looking at it for a while, I realized the temple looks rather dark. So I lit it up a little bit, put some lanterns in some good spots to light up the windows, and it looks nice. Now we work on the final layer of the roof. But after playing around with the design for a little bit, I settle on this fairly tall bit and work on it. That would be great to have some colorful commentary right now, but yep, I'm drawing blanks. So then I copy paste, but delete it after because I realize it's just a tad too tall. So I decided to redo it instead of maybe trying to lower it. But this worked out just fine. So I placed another roof window, and we're finally complete on the main temple. Now we work on the smaller towers. Now, this was fairly easy after working on something so large. I was finally glad to work on another small thing. It was much easier to do because I'm used to detailing on a smaller scale. Because on Bedrock, you would never attempt to make something this big. Now, after some issues with the copy paste onto the second layer, I connected it properly to the second layer. And after fixing it, copy paste the third layer, get rid of that middle part because we're just going to cover it up with a normal roof. And put like a little needle right on top. Spire. What would you call it? Not sure. Little spike thing. Hardly little. It's pretty big actually. Copy paste to the other side. And change the flower volume a little bit to get rid of some of the oxide daisies that I don't really like. Out of the 3 white flowers, I think oxide daisies are probably the worst one out of actually 4. Of course I'd get that wrong, but here we go, working on a waterfall. Now, just to make sure it flew? Water doesn't fly. The most it does is turn into clouds. Maybe those do fly. But just to make sure water flows properly, I decide to terrain with wool first, and then change it to water as it will flow in a proper way, because just working with water buckets on a downflowing river like this, yeah, that'd just be impossible. But, well, you need some way to get to these towers, so make a little staircase down from the main temple and make a pathway to these smaller towers. Very easy process, but still took around like 2 hours because actually, please let me know how to make paths using World Edit. Be helpful. Cut down on like several hours of work. And here we go, working on the backside, but first I need to make the path connect to something. So I make this little garden house, or whatever you'd call it, with a similar design to the towers in the front. I make the roof, and copy paste to the other side, add some lighting, and move over to the path. But first we need to make a bridge to cross this river, because I don't think people plan on swimming to the other side. Well, they could. Certainly an option. Bridge is optional, I guess. But we move to the front as we need to make this island a little more lush. So cherry trees is the first thing I need to make. Of course, I don't know what I'm doing, so I try to use concepts I learned on Bedrock to work with trees, but World Edit doesn't work the same way as structure blocks, so a bit of a learning curve for me. That's why it took a while to just place trees. So we move to the back garden, place some more trees, and then make a white variant of the cherry tree. I don't see white variants of cherry trees very often in Minecraft builds, even though in real life they looked pretty cool. So I decided to include them here in my build. Maybe it'll encourage some more people to use them in theirs. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, comment, I don't know, water, just water. Comment water if you made it this far into the video. But not sure why you would have made it this far. Anyway, so we make a larger variant of the cherry tree and make a smaller normal tree that I'm going to paste around to fill in the empty areas that I won't fill in with cherry trees, because having 100% cherry trees, I don't think it would look good. So just throw in some normal ones to act as filler. Now we finally use the larger cherry trees, make a white variant to post in a few spots, and finish up pasting the rest of the trees. I hope you enjoyed that little bit of silence. Let me know if I should maybe talk more or talk less, as I'm not sure how you guys would appreciate my voice in any of these. So please give me some feedback. So we move into the final stretch of trees. And I want to put some bamboo in between, but fail at commands. So I make this giant cube of bamboo saplings that nearly crashed my computer. And was not fun to render either. But we still made it through anyway. So we place some bamboo all around, let some of it grow a little bit. And go around the island, growing some bits, getting rid of some bamboo in some weird spots. And destroying some of the bamboo off the tips of the mountains. Grow a little bamboo garden and place some bushes around the paths. Finish up the rivers with some lily pads and some reeds. Do the same thing into the front area and get rid of this platform as we finally move into working on the interior. Now, my plan for this interior was not to really design anything, but just to fix up this area so you guys can fill it up with stuff. It's fully up to you what you want to put in here. But first, of course, we need to use what the opening was made for. Make a giant lantern that we're going to make sure is seen everywhere. Now first, make a pretty circular lantern. Big one at that. Now, of course this wouldn't stick because I felt like it was little too big. So I decided to get rid of it and go for a smaller one. However, the small one was way too small. Just the shape didn't really look right. So I got rid of that one. Moved into my third lantern. Because why would anyone get it on their first try? Maybe third time's a charm here? So I play around with some maybe Japanese characters. If that doesn't work out, decide to make a simpler design, which I played around for a little bit. Looks good at first, but placing it onto the sides didn't work. Maybe fourth time's a charm this time? I don't know. Hopefully it is. Go into the comments and say, does Glow do it on his fourth try? And the answer would be yes, actually. I do it on my fourth try. I came out with a shape I liked, changed some details to make it simpler, and put some hanging lanterns going off the big lantern. Put some other lanterns onto the corners and make an altar. Now, of course, I didn't make a mythos for this temple either, so who this altar is for is up to you. I'd be interested in what you guys come up with. Now, just to light things up, I throw some glowing mushroom blocks everywhere. rather than using night vision, which would have been a simpler option, but we need to get that cinematic. So, but of course, lanterns from the roofs aren't enough, so rather than just having a dark area, I light up the floors a little bit, which I think is a better option. But still throwing lanterns everywhere, just to make sure it looks good. Now I'll copy paste to the other side, and I'll make a second layer similar to the first. Put some pillars up and make the floors glow, but of course I need to make a staircase to the second floor. I don't know, normal people can't fly. Be a great idea to just walk up there. So, same process as the first floor, but some pillars and doing the floor same as the first, and throwing some glowing shroom blocks everywhere. Copy paste to the other side and do it on to the third floor. But of course I didn't make a staircase to the third floor because why would I? Yeah, it's just for show anyway. It's up to you if you want to make a staircase up to the second floor or third floor. There's already a staircase to the second floor. Could make another one if you'd like. This build's up to you after I release it to y'all, which this build will be linked to you guys into the comments. Now, to show us what you do with your creations of the interior of this temple, add us on Instagram and Twitter at TimeCubeP. It'll be shown on screen, so you don't have to go on my word for it, and you get the exact spelling. Now, of course, do a simple design for the towers on the sides. Copy paste to the other floors, and copy paste the entire interior to the other tower. The build is finally finished. Like, you would not believe how much work I've had to put into this video. And a lot of effort went into this. And since the build's finally over, let's take a look at it one last time. And with that, this video is finally finished. If you enjoyed today's video, please again like and subscribe. Our Discord is also linked in the description, as well as the map link. And if you would like to support us even further, please go to our Patreon page. You can choose whatever subscription. You can take it off at any time. This map in particular will be free to download. So feel free to download this, share whatever your creation is with this map to our social medias, our Instagram, our Twitter, which is on screen right now. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day or evening. Whatever time of day you're viewing this, enjoy the rest of it. Thank you. See ya.